There's always been a long-standing and complex relationship between maps and photography, and to a certain extent a paradox of cartography, given that both photographs and maps are two-dimensional representations of three-dimensional phenomena. And since the mid-19th century, when photography was actually invented, man has had this desire to actually create this sense of three dimension. And one of the first scientific instruments to do this was stereoscopic imagery, which involved a set of complex relationships where two images were placed side by side and viewed through a stereoscopic viewer that actually had specific lenses which would actually blur the two together to create the sense of three dimensions. And in the early 20th century, the surrealist photographer Man Ray worked with collaborators to photograph mathematical models and then make paintings of these that were actually based on literature and the formal relationships that Shakespeare identified in The Merry Wives of Windsor, for example, and that this example is actually a mathematical model that then he repurposed and photographed and turned into a painting representing the Midsummer Night's Dream. And finally, we move to the end of the 20th century, where the Korean artist Nam June Paik created this fantastic work called the Electronic Superhighway, where he really combines technology, photography and computer science to actually create a very emotional map of a journey across the United States, where he actually uses video and sound that's quite political to actually engage the viewer in the conversations. If you listen very closely, you can hear the political statements by Martin Luther King and President Johnson discussing important moments in America's history.